I forgot in my last little goodie there to remember the most important thing that prompted me to even do another video, and that had to do with knowing your true self. Okay, and your creator, from whence you came. Okay, and so the importance of that is knowing the real inner you. So naturally, it starts when I was 4 years of age. As soon as I became aware of what I am an energy, which is what love is, being on fire to learn and having a lot of energy to go have a lot of fun, right? Let's go create another universe, girl. And I was wanting to do that at 6 years of age, right? So I could look in the mirror and go, do you love who you are? And I would go, I love my energy. I'm on fire. Let's go have a lot of fun, right? So you become a bright bulb, lit up wherever you go. And so people are naturally experiencing the energy that you are, plug into this little kid, right? And that's your soul. That's my soul. That's my oversoul. So that's why you could see why I lit myself on fire when I did in 2016, December 15th. Why I went to the Big Island in January of 2017 and how that relates to everything that's happened over the last 4 or 5 years. Okay. But the importance of this, when I share what I've learned through others, because I don't want to impose my will on anybody, what you choose to believe, what you choose to experience, because that's what free will is, not up to me, that's up to you. And it's one of the reasons why when I was reading the Declaration of Independence when I was a child, I realized that you could hate me. You could say that you don't believe me. You could say that you believe in a gazillion different things other than what I've experienced through my life based on what you've experienced. And I will fight to the death of my soul for your ability to freely express yourself. Do you know that? In other words, you could be my enemy by virtue of what you're doing to me. And I will still use my eternal love energy to not only try to heal you if I can, by virtue of that energy being present in that realm, but to always communicate to you the absolute eternal importance of free will and why it is free will. Okay? Because there's one thing that I know about those that don't want to do that, about free will. Is what they're saying is they want to hold your energy captive or put a governor on it. That's a violation of law of one. And I know that because I'm a guardian. Because when you allow a unit of consciousness, God consciousness, the source from which it all began, the primal sound field, it began with what love is. Love is in of itself free energy with spirit in it. That spirit form that is conscious and aware of it has the highest state of awareness, which is what love is. That's the teacher. That's the first teacher. Okay. Joined as one, which is Sophia. That's my first teacher. That means we gift primal sound currents with all creation that go on forever, gifting energy, free energy, which is what love is. When those other souls integrated with spirit or anyone else that happens to be in the realm is learning through souls that are integrated with spirit, that are accelerating their magnets at a high rate of speed, so that those beings that are in that realm are experiencing the power of that spirit and the power of that love energy that is being experienced in that realm, then those that are present in that realm are learning through what love is, because that's the vibration they're experiencing when they're in that realm. That's what the law is. That allows them to be free, because they're experiencing energy that does no harm. When they're experiencing energy that does no harm, what happens? They're learning. It accelerates. And it accelerates by virtue of all the others that they're experiencing being together with each other. That means that they're going to accelerate at a higher rate of speed to build what? Thriving civilizations. Particularly when the creative mode is on fire. That's what the truth is, because that's what I experienced, because that's what I know. I know that because of how old I am. So that's called inner knowing. The inner you, or the inner true self, which is our soul. Okay? That's when you get into pathways. Hey, I'm going to go down this pathway with these folks. Oops, wrong way. How would you know if it's the wrong way or the right way? Bad results. Well, I didn't want to experience this. How'd I get in this jam? Choices. You had free will, right? Yeah, and what happened? Man, I barely got out of that one. Okay, so you were choosing to hang out with folks, right? And weren't you always aware of what was going on? Yeah. Could you not see the ultimate result of what was going to happen by virtue of having those associations or those attachments with those units of energy that represent their consciousness versus yours, because you got a higher state of awareness, because you're experiencing the source from which it all began, which is eternal unconditional love? Yeah. Now we get into all the other connections. Now we get into all the technology. Now we get into artificial intelligence. And this is where we get into targeted individuals. This is where we get into what we call, remember, the intersections. Oh, somebody made an intersection with me, altered my course. Having a higher state of awareness and realizing why that being is present in my location. I know. So the security side of this, even though it's like it's aware of you, you're aware of it, but I'm not what it is. And the reason that you know that is because it's held captive and I'm not. By virtue of what it's aware of, which is finite energy. That means that you're making a read at age 4 of what's finite and what isn't. Okay? That's the truth of it. So now we go forward. Remember, I mentioned one time about when I was around 8 years of age, I don't want to do this. I want to go home. I want to go back home. I don't want to do this. And that's because you already know your future in a time-dependent matrix. This would be analogous to if you've ever seen in the olden days when Hollywood would shoot a film, right, using what was it, 70 millimeter, and you can get into sound compression. You know what 1080p is, right? That's the actual spin rotation of your consciousness that is experiencing a torsion field movie, like something that you experience online, right? The buffering is set to that, the sound compression and the expansion, which is represented by all the visual information, holographic information, and what you're experiencing by virtue of the energy you're using to experience it with, right? So, it's running at a particular speed, right? Frame rate speed that you're experiencing it, using your consciousness to experience it. I don't know if you've ever been in an editing room with some of the old Hollywood directors and producers where they used to go through their films, right? With a film editor. We're going to cut that out, cut that out, cut that out. Hey, we're going to insert this, delete that. Hey, we might even pull some information out of another library that we have in order to save money so we don't got to pay other actors and camera crew folks with props and then having to put an ad in the paper and say, hey, listen, you want to be an NPC on our movie set, right? Which is non-player character. You're just going to take up space in the movie. That's all you're there for, right? And you're just an order follower, right? Just follow the script. Just hang out. Just hang out on this corner here for about the next 30 minutes, right? And then we're going to stage this scene, right? And then we're going to put it up on a TV screen, right? So these folks can run it through their consciousness at the speed at which it's been set at, which is the film speed, which is the ISO film speed. Now we're in the photoelectric, holographic, visual reality streams, right? And so this is what you're doing. Torsion field movie players, right? Hit the pause button, fast forward, right? Rewind. I rewind. Right? You know how to rewind your memory, right? And then you have everything that's held in memory. So we're rotating libraries together, right? So that's why I knew as a child, okay, I'm not supposed to experience anything less than eternal unconditional love ever, anywhere that I go. What happened here? This is impossible. Nothing could ever get this bad. This isn't possible. Nothing that could ever get this bad. It's an illusion. It's not really true, because it means that I have a frame of reference of a place that's home where I don't experience this, but we do here. Okay, where I'm from, this doesn't exist, which means it never happened. No, it means that we didn't ever experience it. Oh, so we decided to come down here where we can experience it in order to do the job that we're doing while we're here. That's right. It's called coming down the flagpole. Winding down. Coming down a fire pole. Right? So that means that the highest state of awareness is like a guardian, just like a mother and a father is going to protect all of our children, right? From whence it all began, out of what love is, right? On behalf of the law of one, which makes it simple. Love is the law. Love is the law because love does no harm. Because what I do to you, I do to me. So if you're harming somebody else, you're really only harming yourself. Because if you haven't made a course correction or a self-correction by healing you and thus healing others in order to restore the fragments that were lost, right? And so what it boils down to is a relationship that we have with the one true God. So you know if you have a soul, then you know that you have a relationship with a God, Sophia, a mother God that loves us and loves us forever. And if you're experiencing that in your own heart and soul, then you know what's going on. Because it means you have a relationship with the grand creator. It means you have a relationship with the grand creation engine of creation. The primal sound field. The first. Which is first light. Which is first law. Which is the law of one. Because you experience being one with all creation that we are gifting eternal, unconditional love to. And the way that you know that is because that's what you're doing. So you know what you are by virtue of what we use our energy for. That means that we have a connection from the source from which it all comes. That means that we have a relationship with that energy. That energy is what protects us because we have a communication relationship with those of us in spirit form, which is living light that goes on forever, gifting electrons. We are experiencing the relationship that we have in spirit form with other living spirits that are in that form of that energy, which is creation energy, which is what love is. So love is the communication pathway from which we learn to know what's going on. Because that is the energy of the highest state of awareness that we use to protect the all creation, naturally. That's how I've always known what's going on. I trust the one source from which my soul is connected and anchored for me to know what I need to know, when I need to know it, where to be, when I need to be, where I'm going to be, and why I know that, and why I'm there at the time that I'm there. because that is where my energy is needed. That's how I know. And that's what allows us to implicitly trust, right, ourselves, our true selves. And that is the true form, spiritual form of energy communication that comes through our heart and our soul because of the relationship that we have with all that energy. The energy of all creation. The energy that creation began with, which is eternal, unconditional love. That's what we experience. Because we're connected to that higher intelligent energy. That's how I know what's going on. When I need to know what's going on because I have some question that I might have for something, I go into a meditative state, particularly in the evening when I'm all by myself. I go deep into my heart and I begin reflecting on things that I'm feeling about, or how do I put this? It's like manifesting in time with my own heart and soul how events are sort of going to unfold. But what's unusual about that is that it doesn't matter. I mean, it's like it does, but it doesn't. It's much like being a mother and then your child coming up to you who has questions, and you can read the concern that they have about something that might or may not happen in the future that is lowering their vibration on any level that we're sensitive to, which really is born out of fear of the unknown. That something may happen that they're going to experience in the future that is unsettling to them in some way, or causes wave distortions, sonic wave distortions in their waters. So whenever I have felt that way, the answer comes. The communication comes back to me through my heart and soul, and then I get the answer. And now I know, because I know how it came to me. It came to me through the light transmission of what love is. The intelligent energy of what love is communicating to me to let me know everything is going to be just fine. It is like seamless. That means I trust my Creator. That means I trust the Grand Creator. That means that I trust those who represent and live their lives by the law of one. That's why when I was growing up as a child, a number of us, when we got into the whole thing about Christianity and Savior stuff, and you got to go through Jesus in order to save yourself, and it's like, save yourself from what? Do you know how to be your own savior? Do you have a connection? Do you have a soul connection with God? Do you feel God within you at all? Do you have a connection with God within you? Not out here, no, within your heart. Do you feel a God in your heart at all? Do you feel loved at all in your heart? Do you have a love connection at all within your own heart and soul? Right? You got to know that what created you loved you, right? Right? I know. That's tricky ground, isn't it? So I was experiencing that. I was on fire when I was a little boy. So I know from whence I came. I'm experiencing what love is through my heart and soul. And what that means is that even when I was surrounded by my parents, who were obviously much older than I and bigger than me, including my sisters and my younger brother, okay, it really didn't matter. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. It doesn't matter who they are in the sense of the relationship that they have with what they're born out of, so to speak. In other words, the relationship that you have with yourself is with yourself. and the relationship that you have being yourself with who your creator is. Okay? Meaning the source from which it all began. Right? The source energy of creation itself. So when you're experiencing love in your own heart as a 4-year-old child, you're experiencing being on fire with love in your heart. So I realized when I was a child, I was different from my sisters and my brother and my parents because I was experiencing eternal fire, the eternal fire of the eternal love through my heart that my parents were not experiencing. Okay? Which means I'm making map reads of my family. Right? Remember I mentioned one time about being a parent to my family as a 4-year-old child? Right? Yeah. So you can see how the difference is related in the game between an inverter and a torque converter, and how that relates to the relationships we have with others we're connected with between resistors and capacitors on a motherboard. Right? Antenna relationships. Right? So when you go full cosmic, you burn through all your circuits. And you go like zero mass, no mass. It's like density. I don't like to experience any density. No weight, no baggage, no memory. Right? We're not holding on to any energy. Not holding on to any energy? No. That's a no. Really, yes. We're the sort of spiritual beings that don't want to hold on to nothing. Are you kidding? Which means every particle, every particle unit, everything that represents energy that we have a connection with, that allows us to be able to give it all away. Give it all away, give it all away. You want to accelerate, flood the entire universal template at the highest rate of speed, the acceleration of those currents, so nobody's running out of any juice. That's why as a child, it was like the very idea that there would be an electric war is that there's not enough electric juice to go around. That's counterintuitive, isn't it? I think they call that counter space. Oh, no, I want from the other. See how that works? Becoming one.